Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about some of the things that you might experience as an empath that go a little bit deeper than this kind of skin deep stuff that we might find online, your typical things like you might be an empath if, okay? So what I want to talk to you guys about is what does this mean? What does this look like in real time? What do these traits end up living out in your actual life? Like, what does this end up looking like? We know that empaths tend to struggle in crowds. They tend to pick up other people's emotions, but what do these things really cause, right? So it's important to start to notice your emotions and how they shift. But some of the things that these traits of being empathic can cause can be highly disruptive. And so I wanted to talk about some of the more so, lesser known consequences of being an empath when energy is not managed. So ideally, that's the goal that we want to get to, is how can we manage our energy so that we don't experience some of these outcomes, okay? So the first one that I want to talk about is that the extreme emotions an empath might feel can prevent them from making progress in their life, because the emotions can be so really derailing, really distracting, that there's a lack of focus. There's a lack of execution, maybe things that you want to get done, but the emotion becomes so heavy that it's like it sweeps up everything in it like a little storm, okay? So that's one of the things that empaths may experience, is that they have a hard time focusing on even sometimes simple tasks if they've taken on someone else's energy and they have a lot of feelings from themselves. And don't forget that they're going to most likely also pick up collective energy, which means because we are humans and we are living in a collective, they will feel that too. So on a really tough day, you might have your own stuff, you might have someone else's stuff, and you might have collective stuff. And then you have to almost overcome that feeling of all those things, which can be really extreme, to go about your normal life, okay? So that might be something a empath would experience on a day-to-day basis. It becomes harder to get those simple tasks done, let alone to make traction when it comes to something along the lines of life purpose, soul purpose, and calling type stuff, right? So I'll talk about that in a different video for you guys. The second thing, they feel others' pain to an extent that it becomes paralyzing. So they will feel someone else's emotions, right? Kind of going back to the first one a little bit here, but to the point where they can't even do anything, okay? And so again, this energy management is going to become very, very, very critical for somebody who is an empath. And we're going to get to all these kind of tools and things that you can do, and my things that I've used for my own energy management as well, okay? The third thing, they might often find themselves isolating or distancing, okay? Because those extreme emotions are so extreme and they can be so paralyzing that at some point, it's like our cup has been filled so high of all these things, we almost need to like completely check out to like recover. It's like I need massive amounts of recovery time because I've absorbed so much. It's like, think of empaths as like a filter for other people's emotions, their emotions collective, right? It's a filter, okay? So much is filtering through this person at some point that brim of the cup is full of like, we're at max capacity, and now I need to go isolate. So you will find, if you are an empath, if you have an empath in your life, they will often, when they've reached that top point and that limit, they will say something along the lines of like, I need to go and, just be alone. I need to, they won't even say anything. They'll just kind of check out, and they need that time. But what happens is, if the energy management is not happening, this checking out becomes the only way. It's a coping mechanism because the things on the forefront aren't being done. And so that will actually happen more and more and more and more. And when they reach their cap, they'll say, oh no, I gotta go, I gotta disconnect, and they will completely shut down. And so this actually becomes then kind of going back to number one, they will not make a lot of traction in the things that they actually need to get done or want to get done, or things that are their calling or their soul purpose. They really want to make traction on those things, but they find that they need to disconnect so often and isolate so often to cope that they won't make any progress because they keep falling into this loop, okay? The next one is that they get sick really, really often, almost every month or seasonally. So for me, I realized this, I wasn't quite sure why I kept getting sick over and over and over. And it would be a almost specific time of the month when I feel like my cap was reached, right? So it's like I hadn't done the management. I hadn't done anything on the forefront to protect my energy or release my energy that was from my stuff, other people's stuff, collective level stuff. And then I would reach this cap and I would, boom, get sick. And it was my body's way of trying to release it all. Like I'm trying to get rid of it, okay? But it's because there aren't things being done on the forefront. And so the body will say, no, we can't process anymore. I need to release this. And now you're getting sick. It's a forced slow down, right? So for those empaths who aren't like, or they tend to be like a more driven type person, right? They'll find they're never really making all that much traction, but they will, even when they should slow down. This is like, sometimes it goes on the flip side of it. You have people that isolate more and more and more and more, and they can't get anything done. And the other on the other hand, someone who is so driven that they will not stop. They will miss the cue because they're like, I'm not going to do that. I need to stay productive, but I'm not functioning at max capacity. And they will fill the cup, and they'll miss all the cues to slow down and drain out. Because again, stuff's not being done on the forefront, and their body will get sick and they will need to release all that stuff. Okay. So that is something that happens. That was something I realized in my own personal walk, that I was like, oh my gosh, there's a reason for this. This keeps happening over and over and over. Okay. So, I wanted to just give you guys an idea of some of the additional things that you might see as an empath playing out in your life in real time, right? So it's like, yes, we know our basic traits of being an empath. We are feelers, we are sensitive. I will say that sometimes this goes in the opposite direction as a protection mechanism, that the empath who's feeling a lot of feelings will bury that or deny that. Sometimes that can go the opposite way as well. People who have a tough time being in crowds, people who know that when somebody's feeling sad, they are the person who will literally take on the emotion for someone else. And empaths also tend to be the fixer. They are the fixer of all the relationships in their lives. They're the person that will keep showing up, will want to always like fix the person, fix the relationship. They'll hold on, right? So we know some of these are your kind of average. You Google, you're going to see this. But this is what these traits translate to in real time, and where they can disrupt someone in their life, okay? So I wanted to share that with you guys today before we get into some of the tips and tricks and tools to manage that energy on the forefront, so that we aren't necessarily just this reactive, right? When we're in a place of reactive, that means that we've already kind of missed the mark. We didn't do what we could have done to prevent this from happening. And so there is a lot of information out there for empaths, but I can tell you that I've done all of those things and it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough because the extent of my ability needed more. It needed more, and I did not realize it. So I kept getting sick and I kept seeing these things coming up. I kept lacking consistency, all of these things, because it didn't work for me. Those things, those tools I was taught that were base level, they didn't work for me, okay? So I want to share that with you guys. If you're feeling like, I know I'm an empath, people have told me what to do, I've Googled it, I've tried the things, and it's not working for me, and I feel like I'm kind of drowning over here. Don't worry, because I have more information for you, and I've lived that life, and I get where you're coming from, okay? So I'll see you guys in the next video.